Researchers placed a problem in front of a crow, the same problem they had given to human children in a laboratory. The crow solved it, completely, on the first attempt. The 7-year-olds in the study took significantly longer. Some of them never solved it at all. The crow on your street is not just a bird that finds food and makes noise. It is an animal that plans ahead, uses tools, understands cause and effect, recognizes individual human faces, and passes cognitive tests that researchers designed specifically to measure human-level reasoning. And the more scientists study it, the more uncomfortable the comparison to human intelligence becomes. Not because crows are human, but because the gap between crow cognition and human cognition is significantly smaller than almost anyone expected, and it keeps shrinking with every new study. You need to understand what is happening inside that black skull. The crow brain is proportionally one of the largest of any bird species relative to body size. Scientists measure this using something called the encephalization quotient, a ratio of brain size to body size. Crows score extraordinarily high, in the same range as dolphins and chimpanzees. But raw brain size is not the interesting part. What makes crow neuroscience genuinely remarkable is a region called the nidopallium caudolaterale. It is the functional equivalent of the prefrontal cortex in humans, the part of our brain responsible for planning, decision-making, impulse control, and abstract reasoning. Crows developed this through a completely separate evolutionary pathway from mammals. They did not inherit it from a common intelligent ancestor. They arrived at the same cognitive solution, complex reasoning ability, through convergent evolution. Two entirely different branches of life, the same result. Researchers describe this as one of the most extraordinary examples of convergent cognitive evolution ever documented. The crow did not become smart because of us, it became smart alongside us, independently, for its own reasons, over millions of years. And the result is sitting on your fence right now. What crows actually do? Crows plan for tomorrow, not in a vague, instinctive way, in a specific, deliberate, anticipatory way that researchers struggled to believe when they first documented it. In studies on crow behavior, crows selected tools and carried them to locations where they knew they would need those tools the following day. Not where they needed them right now, where they would need them tomorrow. They were not responding to an immediate problem, they were solving a future one. This kind of future planning was once considered exclusively human. The ability to mentally project yourself into tomorrow, to imagine a situation that does not yet exist and prepare for it in advance, is a cognitive milestone that developmental psychologists track carefully in human children. Crows do it reliably. They also hide food, but not simply. When a crow caches food and realizes it has been watched by another crow, it will wait until the observer leaves. Then it returns, digs up the food, and moves it somewhere the watching crow does not know about. Think about what that requires. The crow must understand that the other bird saw where the food was hidden. It must model what the other bird knows, and it must act on that model, taking a specific action to protect its resources from a threat that exists only in another bird's mind. Psychologists call this theory of mind. The ability to understand that other individuals have knowledge, intentions, and beliefs that differ from your own. It is one of the most significant cognitive milestones in human development. Children typically develop it around age 4. Crows demonstrate it consistently and reliably. And it goes further. Crows have been documented using tools, actual physical tools, to solve problems. Not just picking up objects, manufacturing them, bending wire into hooks to retrieve food from containers, selecting sticks of specific length and flexibility for specific tasks, discarding tools that do not work and finding better ones. New Caledonian crows, a species studied extensively in the Pacific, have demonstrated a level of tool manufacture and use that places them among the most technically capable non-human animals ever documented. They make tools, they improve them, and they pass the techniques to their offspring. They know you, and they talk about you. The crow on your fence is not watching you the way a security camera watches you, passively, without processing. It is watching you the way a person watches someone they have learned to pay close attention to. Research from the University of Washington proved that crows remember individual human faces for years, not human presence in general, specific faces, specific individuals. In experiments where researchers wore specific masks while trapping crows, those crows responded aggressively to that specific mask years later, not to other masks, not to unmasked people, that exact face. And then the crows taught their offspring which face to avoid. Young crows that had never seen the original trapping, that had no direct experience with the masked researcher at all, began scolding and diving at that same mask. The threat assessment had been socially transmitted through the flock across generations. The crows in your neighborhood have a collective file on every regular human in their territory. Your schedule, your walking route, whether you have ever threatened them, whether you feed them, whether you can be trusted. That file was built through observation, updated continuously, and shared with every crow in the local population. But the relationship is not only about threat. Crows that are consistently treated with respect, fed regularly, approached calmly, show measurable changes in behavior toward that specific individual. They approach closer. They arrive faster when that person appears. They show relaxed body language that they do not show to strangers. And in documented cases, they bring gifts. A young girl in Seattle named Gabby Mann began feeding crows as a small child. Over years of consistent feeding, the crows began leaving objects for her. A pearl-colored button, a piece of blue glass, a miniature silver ball. Each one left deliberately where she would find it. Researchers who examined the collection described it as a genuine reciprocal exchange. The crows were returning value for value. The crow on your street has already decided what it thinks of you. The only question is whether you have ever thought about what you are communicating to it. Here is the part of crow behavior that most people have never heard of. And once you know it, you cannot unknow it. Crows hold trials, not metaphorically, behaviorally. Researchers and naturalists have documented gatherings where a large group of crows, sometimes dozens, assembles around a single crow in complete silence. The group observes the individual. Sometimes they call, sometimes they are completely quiet. And then, after a period that can last several minutes, the group either disperses or attacks the individual crow at the center. These gatherings are distinct from the noisy chaos of mobbing behavior. They are structured, they are quiet, and they appear to follow a pattern that researchers have struggled to fully explain. Some ornithologists believe these gatherings function as information sessions, opportunities for the flock to examine a dead or injured crow and learn about potential threats in the area. Others believe they represent something more socially complex, a form of collective assessment of a crow that has violated some behavioral norm of the group. What has been documented clearly is this: crows respond to crow death differently from almost any other bird species. When a crow dies, other crows gather. They do not just observe, they stop foraging, they become quiet, they stay near the body for extended periods. Researchers studying this behavior describe it as functionally similar to grieving, a collective pause in response to loss that serves both social and informational purposes. And then there is the mob. When a crow is identified as a threat, Whether a predator or a member of their own species that has broken trust, the response is coordinated, persistent, and targeted. The mob does not disperse until the threat leaves. Sometimes it follows. Sometimes it returns the next day to the same location where the threat was last seen.
The Court of Crows is not mythology. It is documented behavior that researchers are still working to fully understand. A social system sophisticated enough to gather, observe, assess, and respond collectively, in silence, to something happening within its own community. The blackbirds on your street are not a random collection of individuals. They are a society, with memory, with rules, with consequences for breaking them. The next time you see a group of crows gathered quietly in your neighborhood, really look at what is happening. They are not just birds. They are a community making decisions, processing information, maintaining relationships, remembering the past, and preparing for the future. The gap between what happens inside that black skull and what happens inside yours is smaller than almost anyone expected, and it gets smaller with every study. Tell us in the comments, have you ever witnessed a crow gathering in your neighborhood? Something that felt different from ordinary crow behavior. Share what you saw. We will see you in the Bird Vault next week.